Yo, what's up? I am Jeremy here, and today I just got home from work, and I got home to so much League of Legends esports news. There's so many different stories going on in both the LEC and the LCS right now, let alone the fact that MSI was going on. Golden Guardians played good and bad today. I think they at least surprised some people by being able to win a game, by being able to push BLG to a game 3, and they also showed that, hey, if certain circumstances, certain drafts, certain plays go right, that they are able of beating BLG even, which I think is really, really cool, especially coming from the 2 seed in the LCS. But on the other hand, still we have transfer rumor, speculation for this mini offseason between spring and summer that happens every year. With a lot going on, with guys, with news coming from guys like Wooloo, like Alejandro, different sources, different people all over the place. So I do want to cover what I think is the most important stuff, but it's going to take a little bit because so much stuff came out in one day. We can only cover, one thing at a time. So next couple of days, be expecting, multiple different videos. We'll get to all the important stuff. If there's anything you want me to talk about, definitely, leave a comment and all that good stuff. But what we're talking about today is some 100 Thieves news, giving my thoughts and opinions on it, and also talking about what the future has in store for 100 Thieves and some of the players involved. This was a big tweet coming out from Wooloo today. Sources: top laner Ssumday is returning to 100 Thieves and will replace Tenacity in the LCS. An agreement has already been reached. So this is not a rumor. This is not speculation, at least according to Wooloo. He is saying that this is already done. This is not totally shocking and surprising to me. I had actually heard some rumors about 100 Thieves potentially looking to replace Tenacity, wanting to bench him, maybe wanting to move on from him entirely. Who knows exactly what's going to happen. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But didn't know that Ssumday was going to be the one to replace him. Also didn't know that Ssumday was even going to be an option. And maybe Ssumday wasn't even going to be an option until all of this Evil Geniuses stuff happened. All the craziness where, hey, they're getting rid of like their entire roster. They're really the Evil Geniuses team and organization as a whole is kind of just imploding right now. So, yeah. Ssumday, who was the longtime franchise player for the 100 Thieves League of Legends side, is now returning home. Tenacity is getting benched after just a single split as the LCS starting top laner. And I think this move is very, very strange. And I think how 100 Thieves has handled Tenacity's entire upbringing has been very, very strange. There was all this talk for the past couple of years, really, saying that Tenacity's been one of the best prospects in kind of the academy system, the minor leagues of the LCS, whatever you want to call it. And there's always been talk of, what is 100 Thieves going to do? They have Ssumday. He's their star player. He's their franchise player. He's a guy that's been around forever, but they also have one of the best prospects in the league in Tenacity. How are they going to play him? What's going to happen? They did a 6-man roster where Tenacity literally played one game the entire year, which is just ridiculous. It was so poorly handled. Then they finally decided to move on from Ssumday. They're giving Tenacity an opportunity, and it ends up being a one-split opportunity. This is weird. I've been critical of 100 Thieves throughout this whole situation over the past couple years, and I'm still going to be critical of them now. This is so wishy-washy. This is so back and forth. There are some people in the comments being like, hey, well, Tenacity, you can't be so inconsistent. You can't underperform. You can't underwhelm, or you're going to get benched. But he's also a rookie in his very first split in the LCS, where he was being thrown on a team with Bjergsen and Doublelift and, sky-high expectations where, hey, not every rookie, not every prospect is going to burst onto the scene in their very first split. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to have to take lumps. And how you bring a rookie up isn't by doing a 6-man roster where they play one game of split and then sending them back down to academy and then letting them start for one split and then sending them back down to academy. This just makes no sense. This is just dumb. Did 100 Thieves really expect to compete right away last split? Yes, they had Bjergsen and Doublelift, but Bjergsen wasn't all that crazy in 2022. Doublelift was coming out of retirement. Boostio and Tenacity were both rookies. Like, if you're expecting that team to click right away and have success immediately right away, to me, that's poor management. To me, that is poor coaching. That just does not make a whole lot of sense. Was Tenacity always amazing? No. Was he very inconsistent and largely underwhelming? Yes. But does that mean he deserves to be benched, or that being benched even makes most sense? No, absolutely not. And then, you're getting a guy in Ssumday who, yeah, you're very familiar with. He's a great player. He has been, a little bit up and down over the past couple years, but more often than not, he's pretty great overall. You're probably even getting him at a discount now, especially coming from EG and then now coming back. You're probably paying him less than you ever have before, which is also another reason why this move maybe makes a little bit more sense. But it just seems really, really strange to me. But of course, you couldn't really have assumed Ssumday was even going to be available. You have to go out and grab him while he's there. Who knows? I don't know. I think it's very, very strange. If we look at some of the stats from the LCS spring split that kind of went down, these are obviously our top lane stats here, where we can see Someday was towards the top of the league in KDA with a 4.1 KDA, and we can see Tenacity was right below him with a 4.0. Tenacity had a lot more assists. Someday had some more kills. Someday died a little bit less. But overall, they largely look like a lot of the same stats. Now, hey, stats don't tell the whole story, especially KDA. We look at laning stats. Summit was the highest goal differential at 10 minutes. Top laner and Tenacity was the lowest of the guys that played this many games. Obviously Haunter was lower than him in just 2 games played. XP differential, we have Tenacity at the very bottom. We have Summit towards the top, or not Summit, but Someday. Did I say Summit for the last one too? Yeah, Someday was 3rd here. I saw an S name. And then in terms of CSD, Someday kind of middle of the pack, and Tenacity towards the bottom. So overall, Summit was one of the better laners in the LCS and just one of the better top laners overall. Tenacity kind of middle to lower of the pack. Again, this is comparing a like kind of worldwide international superstar in Someday to a absolute rookie, and a very young rookie at that in Tenacity. I don't know if he's 19, 20 years old, something like that. So this seems strange, but I don't know. If you're a 100 Thieves fan, I don't know exactly how to feel. I know a lot of 100 Thieves fans like Someday a lot. I know the 100 Thieves org likes Someday a lot, so it is exciting to have him back, but at the same time, you are kind of just messing with one of your younger prospects. Now, the question is, what is going to happen with Tenacity? Is 100 Thieves going to send him back down to Academy, where he's going to probably dominate once again and then need another shot at the LCS, where he's probably going to fail and need to fail multiple times to really get his footing under him? Or is this finally going to be the time when they actually move on from Tenacity, which is something that I've always said they needed to do? They need to make a firm decision. They need to say, hey, Tenacity, you're our top laner. You take the keys to the top lane. You figure it out over the next couple splits or whatever. Yes, there's going to be some ups and downs, but we trust you. Or we're going to get rid of you. We're going to sell you off for money, assets, whatever. And Someday is going to continue to be our top laner. To continue for as long as they have been dealing with both these top laners, and now getting themselves put back in this 2 top laner situation, where they're ending up getting nothing for either one of them, makes absolutely no sense. It's very, very strange. We start looking at some of the different options in the top lane. It really does seem like, most teams have a top laner set up for the next split. Team Liquid's not making any changes. They're running back Summit. FlyQuest is going to still have their guy. Immortals, I believe, signed solo. Dignitas got Rich. Evil Geniuses is obviously looking for a top laner, but C9 with Fudge, probably not going anywhere. Golden Guardians with Licorice, definitely not going anywhere. TSM is going with Haunter. 100 Thieves now going with Someday. CLG probably going with Dokla, but maybe CLG could be an option for Tenacity. It really leaves Evil Geniuses as the only potential option for Tenacity, and I do think that Evil Geniuses really could make a whole lot of sense. They're a team that talks about wanting to develop and achieve all this winning and all this stuff, and of course are a team that is obviously having some financial issues, and I'm sure you could get Tenacity at a pretty decent price at this point. So we could just see an overall swap of top laners. We could see 100 Thieves hang on to them. We could see EG go in another direction. Maybe Tenacity doesn't want to play for EG. Who knows at this point? We're gonna have to wait and see, but all that really seems official, at least at this moment, is Someday returning to 100 Thieves, going to be the starting top laner for the summer split of 2023. I think it makes some sense, but I also think 100 Thieves still has a very, very mismanaged mess up in the top lane that they have mismanaged for a couple of years, and it seems like they're kind of continuing to do that as well. So I don't know. I think it's a good pickup overall, but there's still a lot of questions left to be answered, and some things that 100 Thieves is going to have to figure out after they disappointed in the spring split of 2023. But hey, Someday and Evil Geniuses, they disappointed as well. So it's not like they're getting a guy who, just was really, really sick and like made it to Worlds or made it to MSI and all this stuff without them. Someday had some of his own issues with EG. 100 Thieves had some of their own issues without Someday. They're coming back together. Is that going to solve problems? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.